Hey guys, this is V-Man from No Budget Productions, and welcome to Constar Continuum. So this week we are going to be talking about Commander Mickle or Captain Mickle, depending on when you picked up the series. Some people started the series on the 11th hour, which would make her the captain of the Constar, from your perspective, which kind of get that. Some people know her as Lieutenant Mickle from the episode Break Free. I think she was a lieutenant in that episode. So yeah, just depending on when you picked up the series, we're going to be discussing the character of Mickle. So click this up here. Just reminding you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Um, yeah, lets us know that you guys haven't forgotten about us. You guys know the YouTube algorithms. Sometimes I like to unsubscribe people. So if you guys find that you guys have been unsubscribed, thanks to YouTube, click the subscribe button and throw the video a like. If you don't like it, yeah, let us know you hate it. It's okay. I don't mind if you guys are part of the unlike army. It's okay. I get it. It's fine. You don't have to like everything we do. It's fine. So that being said, the character of Mickle is the science officer on the USS Constar. She first appeared in the episode of Break Free. Um, Actually, she appeared in the episode Resistance, but I forgot to go back and grab the screen grabs from Resistance, and she really didn't have much to do there except she ran ran across the bridge. We were trying to hide Yava's wig from that because we were trying to set her apart from not being Emily, because we had shot 5 films that day, and we put the blonde wig on her, and so yeah, it's kind of pointless to put her in anything there. So first time we see her is in the film that has some actual character development, is in the film Break Free, and I believe she's the lieutenant here, and yeah, she's communicating everything with Fleet. At this point, she's kind of an important character, communicating with everybody in the ruins of Wolf 359, um, getting all the distress calls and everything, which is kind of scanning for the life signs, and just kind of coordinating everything between communications, you know what all's going on, trying to scan for the Borg and everything. It's kind of an important job, taking on the responsibility and everything, coordinating, because at this point in time, everything on board the Constar, they have nothing but civilian survivors. So for this point, she's kind of taking lead, because it's Menard and then kind of her, because nothing's really established on the bridge this time. But Yava kind of took this uh, role and really made it her own. Um, I think in this one, it was a little bit of little naiveness in this film. Professional, but a little bit of naiveness. Where in Shakedown, it's a little bit more, uh, a little bit more professional, and then by the time you get to uh, the 11th hour, it's full fledged, professional. She knows exactly where she's at. I really love the fact that you can see subtle differences of the character's professionalism. But I do love this here, that you can see the professionalism, uh, and it's very subtle. And I don't know how much of that was intentional, or if it was just we were kind of starting our day on for filming. But Yava's a very good actress, and she definitely made the character of Mickle her own. But this scene right here with Josh, Wanda, and Yava here, with Victoria toward the front, manning Sulu station. But the conversation, the main focal point of this scene is a conversation between Josh, Wanda, and Yava. The main conversation is basically, what happens if Earth is gone, and I love the conversation between them because it's really kind of a, obviously, hey, the Klingons are going to send some, maybe the Ferengi, the Romulans, but what happens if Earth is gone? And all three of them are kind of on the same page, but slightly different perspectives, but same page, kind of shock, uh, awe, and it's kind of how we would have conversations with our friends, kind of in a work situation, but shocked, and I love that whole thing, um, because it's like, what would you do if everything was falling apart around you? Um, and this right here, I love the chemistry between uh, Yava and Wanda. Both these ladies, like at any moment, like you could tell that Yava just wanted to get up, like in character, and just give it was almost like Yava wanted to give Wanda a big old hug, because it's like Wanda couldn't get her line right. She was like, "Oh, I can't get that line." It was like, "Oh, I could give her a big old hug," Um, but it was almost like in character, like she's sitting there worried, and it was just like, we love this character so much, and she's such a great joy to have around, you know. But that's part of the beauty of doing these fan films is like, we all mess up, we all can't get it, sometimes. But with this scene right here, there's a special vulnerability that I think the character of the Lines has, and Mickle, I think she's kind of I think she's kind of a voice of reason per se, because you do have the Lines played by Wanda, who is kind of panicking. Um, she's kind of freaking out in her own way, and then you've got uh, Rogers on the other side, who's also in his own way kind of panicking. But you have Mickle, who is trying, on top of taking on these other people's stress, is trying to be the voice of reason. Um, and I love the fact that it's calm, but the fear is still there because again, we just witnessed 39 starships wiped out. Um, and again, the sense of like, what would you do if you saw your aunt freaking out, or your mom freaking out, or someone that was a close, an elderly neighbor freaking out? Like, you would want to comfort them, and that's exactly the feeling that you get from Yava and Wanda here, where what do you do? And you can't, because any reason that you give them to not be afraid, you can't really do that, because you just saw 39 starships wiped out and you barely made it out. The only reason you guys made it is because you had no weapons. You weren't a threat to these people. You weren't worth their time. So I love the fact that the real world, because I think it was Ferengi. It was Ferengi or Romulan. It was one of the two. Like, Wanda couldn't say that, so we're like, just cut it. Doesn't matter. Like, it's not important. It's not important. So go ahead and skip that one. I think it was three races she was supposed to name it. I think she got two of them. We're like, screw it, cut it. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead and say the ones you can. And like a real world thing, it made that much more sympathetic, and I loved that because it really came across in how she portrayed herself to that character. And those are the things that I love about acting, is you allow real world situations to bleed through in a performance. And I love that because it really shows when they're talking to each other. And I love that. It really bleeds through. And plus, she's such a sweetheart anyway. She really is. I adore her. Like, anytime I get to see her, I'm just like, oh, she's so great. But that's the it really comes across in Yava's empathetic nature to Wanda. It's really great. Those two have really great on-screen chemistry together. I love it. I love it. And then there she is working her station. This is toward the end of the thing. I Most people they don't realize at the end of the scene. I put that in there because originally when Martin comes on and goes hangs out with Greg, uh, like I it was just that, um, but it felt a little flat. But I had took from each one of the crew members enough footage. Uh, you know, you always want to get a little bit of filler, and this was part of that filler of them just pressing buttons on the bridge uh, at each one of their stations, and thankfully it came in handy because we were able to get enough to where it felt like okay, they're working their stations, they're there, but you always want to get enough of that anyway. So it worked out great that we had that. Because again, there she is, very professional, and bless her heart, that wig, it looks great. It looks great on her, man. And here's the scene. We're about to communicate with Starfleet Command. Again, the scope of the bridge, when you're in those sets, it looks really wonderful. The thing about it is like every time I look at her and I'm sitting in that chair and I look over at her, I'm always reminded of when I wanted to give up, and I'm sitting there and we're rehearsing and we're rehearsing and we're rehearsing, and then I look over at her and I'm like, this just feels right. She's like, it does. And I every time I sit there and I have a line with her, I always am reminded of that one time we had that conversation. It never fails every time, and I always love having a conversation piece with her, and it's funny. Every time she puts that blonde wig on, I never see her as Emily. I always see her as Mickle, and it's there's always a distinction between the two, even though it's the same actress. I always see that, and it's funny because she acts she acts different. It's not the same. She acts different, and I would encourage anyone, go watch the Emily scene. Go watch the film Menard. Watch Emily, and then watch her as in the 11th Hour. It's not the same person. It's not the same character. The inflections are different. And even watch her in this, and then go watch the 11th Hour. It's not the same. It is not the same character. And it's again, it's very subtle, and I love that. Like that is true talent. Yava has such a talent for acting. She's so underrated as an actress. She's very good, very very good. So here we, very very simple. We get the communication from Starfleet, but again, uh, very subtle. So then on this one, this I knew I wanted her there. These were the uniforms. A couple weeks ago, I told. Was it a couple weeks ago or last week? I think it was last week. No, a couple weeks ago. I don't remember. It was on an earlier show that I had brought up that if it wasn't for Michael Sylvester, we wouldn't have had the uh, uniforms that we had for Resistance, and the uniform that she's wearing, and the uniform that the lady with the green hair, her name is Alex. Uh, she has also is the uniform that Michael Sylvester had. So those are the same thing with the DS9 uniform that I'm wearing here. That was also his, that he let me borrow for this film. Um, they are not the ones that we wore later on. Those are different. But this is the first time that we actually did an away mission for the Constar. But I knew that I wanted to do an away mission because people asked for more Constar. They loved it so much they wanted more Constar, and I was a little resistant to it because I was so known as being the engineer of the Valiant. I was like, I really don't want to go back. I really want to delve into it. But when you ask, you ask, and you ask, and you ask, I'm like, okay. So, I talked to Greg and I talked to Yava, and I was like, well, what do you guys think? They were on board. So I knew if I didn't have Greg and I didn't have Yava, I knew that, I wouldn't be able to make that work. But, I knew, okay. Initially, when I had Greg, if you watch the film Resistance, he didn't allow. We didn't want his beard to be shown because at the time I really didn't want characters to look like how they looked in other fan films if they were in other fan films. So he kind of hid his mouth so you didn't see his beard. Um, Same thing with Yava. That's why we put the wig on her so you didn't mistake her for Emily. Um, if I had done it now, I probably wouldn't care. I'd be like, it doesn't matter. It's one of those things where I couldn't imagine it any other way. Um, and I think it just fits the character. I think it helps put her in a better frame of mind. But here, the wig, I think it definitely is taking its toll. I think she had said here that yeah, the wig is definitely seen better days. I think she actually bought herself her own wig. Was like, yeah, I want to get a better one. Which to me, I'm never opposed to anyone going above and beyond, which Yava always seems to kind of do. Uh, but I wrote this here um, to always kind of be jokingly between Mickle and Menard because I really wanted to establish the fact that Menard is by the time he becomes captain he's a little more at ease with himself, which obviously as the series goes on you find out he's a lot more disturbed than at ease because I wanted to be a little more lighthearted um, when I started the Constar series, which obviously wasn't the case to anyone who's seen the Constar series, but there's a lot more joking that goes on between Mickle and Menard, um, which she plays it very well. She's very funny. If you've ever seen Yava, she's got a great sense of humor. She's fucking funny. And I remember as we're walking up the hill, if you've seen the outtakes of this, I talk about, because of course it's a voice over the captain's log, so you don't know what we're saying. But I'm talking about picking flies out of her hair and everything. And it's like, it's funny because like getting her reaction, it's like we're both trying to stay in character as I'm fucking poking fun of her and everything, talking about picking flies out of her hair and eating it and whatnot. It's funny. So it's like her reactions are just like fuck off. It's funny and it's kind of like when we were walking in the hallway, as she's Emily and Menard, and we're having this nice romantic time. We're talking about I think it was like diaper rash or something like that. It's just so stupid because it's like it seems like we spend half of our time trying to get the other one to break character or something. And it's a good time. And that's how much trust that I have with Yava. Um, because it's like I know that I can have fun with her, uh, but I know when it's time to be serious that we can both bring our A game. Uh, you know, it's sad when you can't have fun on set, um, and Yava is not that type of person. Yava is she can have as much fun as you do, and she can still bring that A game, and that's when you. That's when you know it's a good time. So, but here's the thing where I really wanted the next film that I had done for Constar with Resistance being kind of a Constar's not doing anything. It's kind of a decrepit ship. I wanted the next film for this one to be an outdoor adventure. I wanted it to be something very outside. Uh, we're going to be doing outdoor adventures. And I was like, well, I'm in Arkansas at the time. Got access to Java, Wanda. Let's get together. Let's do this. Let's have an outdoor adventure. Um, you know, and saw what I had available for uniforms, and I was like, all right, let's go do this. And so it was very good to be able to do something, because again, most people, they either do strictly outdoor, or they do strictly green screen, or they do strictly on set. But it was nice to be able to tell a variety of adventures. Um, and again, look at her facial expressions are wonderful. Like when she starts talking about the Enterprise, um, and especially when she gets to talking to Wanda. um, it's again, look at that smile. Like she just gets so enthused about the Enterprise, and it's just great. She's very expressive, and I think that's something that you really need in a fan film, because a lot of times people, they get very a matter of fact type, but she's not like that. She's very expressive, and the character really needs that. um, you know with Resistance, you didn't really get to know the character, but with Break Free, there was that little bit of timidness, professionalism, but kind of scared. With this film, there's that bubbly enthusiasm. Uh, it's a fun film. It really is. Then by the time you get here and we see the probe, um, it's very much that mystery that comes on. Uh, and then the mystery continues, and we're all like, "What the fuck?" And this is after this dude. The film takes a very dark turn. It starts off very fun, very friendly. It takes that dark turn where the dude kind of blows his head off, and we're all just kind of like, "Dude, the fuck?" But it's because of the Dominion, and this was our way to introduce the Dominion and kind of show you exactly where we are in Star Trek timeline. Uh, that was our way to do that, because of course I couldn't do uh, what they had done on DS9 with the Jem'Hadar attacking the USS Odyssey, but I could show the a Jem'Hadar ship. That was our way to do that. Again, everything I do is very subtle, and that's why you see the DS9 shirt here, the two Next Generation shirts. A mixture of the crew, or a mixture of the two uniforms. Uh, that was my homage to the Next Generation, the DS9, the Jem'Hadar ship. That was my homage to, uh, you know, uh, the episode, the Jem'Hadar. Uh, it, around the end of DS9 season 2. So again, it puts it in perspective, the time frame. But the episode, it starts off very fun, um, but ends on a very down note. But it shows her range from bubbly, happy to damn. And I like that. I like that a lot, and I think that it really comes across. She's very talented. So we come here, and you do see, uh, you've come across, the officer who's of course now been on the ship for, I think, 6 years now, 6, 7 years, something like that. Yeah, it would probably about 5 or 6 years, something to that effect. But this crew has now been together for, uh, yeah, about that same amount of time, and it's not easy to reflect that. Um, especially given the fact that we shot this all on the same day as Break Free and the 11th Hour. So it's hard to get that feeling of camaraderie. But it comes across really, really well. You do get that sense in Greg's film Break Free. But, especially considering, Commander Mickle's just kind of standing back from a distance, but they're all kind of, talking and, chatting. You do get the feeling that they've been together for a while. They know each other, and it's there. But for her, it's professional. Um, it reminds me of like the times they would have on the Defiant, between between attacks, but just kind of talking. I'm reminded of like on DS9 with Worf, um, when Julian and not Julian, but O'Brien is talking to, I think it's Trials and Tribulations, after Julian and O'Brien or yeah, after Julian and O'Brien tell Worf that he smells like lilac, and then Brian's on the bridge. He's like, yeah. So next time Worf walks by, just be like, just kind of smell and be like, is that lilac? And Jadzia laughs and says, no, I have my own way of tormenting Worf. And then O'Brien laughs and he looks at Cisco, and Cisco's like, don't look at me. And it's fun like that. And this kind of reminds me of that, where they have that camaraderie. They're kind of talking, and they even bring up Menard's his Hawaiian punch hat. Menard comes up to the bridge a couple times. Menard, of course, has other things going on because his disease, his quadlithium is wearing off. So there's other things going on besides just bridge duty. It's not necessarily a fun film, but there's other things going on. But this is obviously a ship that this isn't the new ship anymore. This is they've been together for a while. They've split apart because of the Constar crash, but they've come back together. This definitely feels like a Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3. They've been apart, but they've come back together. Type vibe. So I mean, you can tell there's history there, but it feels like everything's right in the world, but it's not quite right. So I mean, there's a lot of familiar elements and yet quite different. Um, and I love this shot right here with Commander Mickle, because again, it's familiar, yet it's different. It doesn't have she's in the she's in the blue uniform, yet it's different. Because again, when I think of Mickle in this uniform, I think of her in the red. I think of her as Captain Mickle, but she's not in this uniform for very long. We only see her for a very short bit in this film because it's not a very long film, and she doesn't really have much to do in this film. But it's I like this picture a lot. I think it's it's a good picture. And then we have her there at her station, which again, it's familiar yet different. But it's not the way that we're used to seeing her. We're used to seeing her in the Next Generation blue. So it does kind of feel like you're kind of in our version of the Wrath of Khan. Uh, you know, so it just feels a little bit slightly off. It doesn't feel quite right. But I do love the performance in this, where she doesn't she doesn't feel quite she feels professional. She feels there. Um, but she definitely feels like she's grown since the very first episode uh, she was in Break Free as that character. But she doesn't feel like the bubbly, happy, kind of jolly, having fun. She was since then. She feels like the character's grown. A lot like the TOS characters from, like I said, Khan. And then, here she is, kind of taking command of the bridge. She's the one that's in charge, obviously alluding to what would happen in the 11th hour, because obviously Menard's going to die, um, which would put her in command. But this was what I wanted to do, was, make it so that she's the one that will be put in the seat. I really wanted to where she's just there, but she's not quite there yet. And I love this shot where she doesn't have the red collar. She's not command yet. Everything else is the same. Everything else is taken that spot. You've got Bartley, which is there. She was there in Break Free. You've got a new person at weapons right there, and then you've got uh, Rogers in the back, which is again familiar from Break Free. So you've got the familiar elements. You've got the new uniforms, and then you've got her, but she's not command. She's not there yet. So you've got those elements, but not there yet. And then you've got her, with Menard in the background. He's not in uniform. So everything's slightly off. He's kind of in his own little world. So he's really paying attention to the bridge. Um, he's just kind of like, so she's kind of taking on the world, trying to keep everything from, falling apart. And I like that, he comes, it's just kind of like, get it done, and she's kind of like, dude. And I like that, because again, it's very symbolic for what happens in the 11th hour. It's great. I like it a lot. So here we go for this, which is again, I like this shot for the reason of, I know in the scene, it's Menard saying basically, warp 9 engage or whatever, toward, whatever the ship was, or, that was in the film. But I always felt that in this moment, Menard's giving that one last look of at Mickle, where he's like, this is the person that's going to take the ship. He's kind of looking out that way, and that's to me, that's what this says. And I know as an actor, knowing what I was planning for the series, like that's what I wanted for this. He's looking out. And this is kind of his nod for that. And I love this picture. This is the last time he looks out on the bridge. He doesn't come back to it. And I felt that it was fitting because he's not in his uniform. He's not coming back. It's not his ship anymore. He's not the captain. He already he gave Mickle the first officer position, because Nancy went off to go do something with the modules, to bring them to the fight, much like Worf did with the Klingons. But it's not his ship, and he knows that. Like, his time's limited. His focus isn't the Constar. His focus isn't Starfleet. And I love this. Because to me it's symbolic. Because I wanted, in real life, I wanted Yava to have this. I felt that she had accomplished a lot as an actress in my series, and I wanted her to have this ship. I felt like her as an actress and her as Mickle had earned this right to sit in the chair, especially for the next film that we're about to discuss. Her as a character, because I felt it was a very powerful performance, and I knew I knew that she'd be able to handle it. I knew that she'd be able to. Which is her sitting center seat right there. I'm so proud of her in this moment. So proud of her. I knew that I would be the one directing this episode. And I knew that she would be able to handle this. When I asked her if she would be interested, I knew that there would, it was down to her, Greg. I knew if she didn't want to do it, that I would ask Greg. But I was very happy that she chose to do it. I felt that there was some hesitation, because whenever you're asked to sit in this, everybody's dream is to sit in the center seat. Everybody wants to, but I could tell there was some hesitation on her part, that she felt that there was, a little bit of, am I ready for this? Can I do this? But there was no doubt in my mind. But I never force anyone to do something they don't want to do. If they don't want to do it, I don't. So I would have asked Greg if she would have said no. But I was so proud of her in this moment. So proud. She'd come such a long way, especially from that, since the first day that I had acted with her, and we put that blonde wig, and she, I was like, okay, just run across so I don't really see you in the blonde wig, because I don't want them to mistake you for Emily, so it's kind of hiding who she was, but I love, because again, looking at her there, like, you don't mistake her for Emily at all. She is Captain Audrey Mickle of the USS Constar A. And she completely sells this character right here. Completely confident, completely capable. And that character that she was in Break Free, somewhat timid, afraid, scared, professional, but scared. And then on the planet, happy, bubbly, experienced, but wide-eyed. And then years later, right before Menard's death, a bit more reserved, with some command experience, but reserved nonetheless. Not quite ready for command, but feeling that she's having it thrust upon her with accepting the first officer position. And then here, leading Menard's squad in the battle to go get DS9, to retake it. It's a powerful moment to just sit there and think about this character and where they're at. The mindset. Like that's what happens when I think about characters and their story arc. And I do that for each character. It's a powerful thing to sit there and think about the actor and their character. And as this character is sitting there and thinking about what they have to do to accomplish their goal, to get through everything that they have to get through this field of ships, knowing that, not only are they outmatched, 3-1, but they have a 80-year-old ship that is, it's got some modern weapons, but it is severely outmatched. But damn it, they're going through it. They have a legacy. They gotta go. And then the action hits, and she's like, "Fuck it, let's go." And everybody at their stations, and they follow their leader. It's not the one that they've followed for years, but it's the one that they are behind because they know the spirit of everything that they've gone through. It's there. And their captain does not waver. She commands the presence. I mean, look at that. She commands it. And it's such a powerful performance. I mean, when she says fire, she fucking means it. It's great. And then looking above and seeing the battle above them within the dome, that is, can you imagine the horrifying, like how scary that would be, seeing all that stuff above them. I mean, it's when I originally thought of that, like, of course, above there is nothing but wood and the ceiling and everything, so of course, we had to edit that, and thankfully that was directing part on my ability, cinematography on my ability, but the editing part, the cropping and everything was Jason Spriggs, and then him reusing the CGI from I think it was Lee Gartrell CGI that we used. He did for us for that Jason. I think he warped it a little bit to give the dome effect. But it came across great. But I knew I wanted that shot. But Yava really sells it because and behind her, Josh looking above too, like both of them just like fuck, just the in over our heads, But even in that moment, like, you know what you're doing. You're in command, but you're just like, oh, okay, let's go. And it's great. And everyone at their station at battle. I mean, it's great. This was a great film to have Yava. If we don't do anything more with this crew, for Yaba as captain. This was a great film to send her off on because she gave an outstanding performance. The crew, gave an outstanding performance. This was a great film, just in general. This was great. This was great. I think this was the moment where Yaba just yells fire. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. But I really loved this pose because I felt like this was a great beauty shot of Yaba in the captain's chair. This was just a beautiful shot. She's very photogenic, I have to say, especially in this uniform. I mean, it's a little big on her because, of course, it fits me. And that's the one thing about these films is, like, we always reuse the uniforms, and usually they're uniforms that fit me because if it'll fit me, it'll fit anybody. And we're shooting so fast, like, we don't have time to snug it back to fit everyone, But I don't care. Like, my films aren't about that. My films are about the story. So, I mean, it keeps me from getting sued from CBS because if it doesn't look the most professional, it's okay. But I mean, she looks great there. She looks commanding. She looks, again, in control of the situation. A far cry from where she was in Break Free. And again, very subtle. Very subtle. And then they get tractor beamed from the modules. And it's kind of the sigh of relief from the captain. There's moments earlier they were about to be destroyed, and she's about to call for the escape pods. The captain, got them home, got them through it. Powerful performance. So many films she's done. Powerful performance. That's the thing. Yaba started off as a background actress in Federation Files, if I'm not mistaken. But I've come to rely on her as an important part. And you need background actors. Don't misunderstand. You need people. So I mean, weeks ago when I was talking about Break Free, the reason why we have only Jeff Victoria as Romulan in the scene with Eli. We needed background actors for that scene. So you need background actors. But I've come to rely on Yaba as cornerstone of the Constar. She's so talented. As Lieutenant Mickle, Commander Mickle, Captain Mickle, I do have a few more stories to tell with her. At least one that I will get to in a perfect world. Two, if things work out well. Because I feel that the character deserves at least that. And I feel that as an actress, she's top notch. I love acting against her in a scene. I love directing her because she's very easy to direct. She takes direction well. She's fun to mess with. But then, she knows got to get back. She's just an all-around great person. She's a person that you want on your set. So it's just nothing but high words. So she helped create a character that was more than just what was on paper. And those are the type of people that you want on your set. So, when I originally wrote Mickle was, most of the time your character is there on the page, and she brought that character to life. Her enthusiasm, the range of acting that she does, um, and she's not afraid to step out of the comfort zone. She brought the character to life, and she made it believable that someone who sat at the science station could end up taking the lead ship of Menard's squad and helping to retake DS9. She made that journey believable, and that's not easy. So, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Constar Continuum. That being said, next week I believe it will be looking at some of the future CGI of an upcoming film called The Pretender, and what those ships mean to me and why I chose to have them in the fleet. That being said, be genuine, be safe. Keep on geeking up, guys.